The New York Giants record their first Week 1 win of the regular season since 2016. It was a thrilling win. David Turner joins us here on the LockedOn Giants podcast to break it all down, what we liked, what we didn't like, and what the Giants can build on moving forward. That's coming up next here on the LockedOn Giants podcast.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. I'm Patricia Traina, your host, and I'm joined by the one and only David Turner, former NFL scout, used to work for the Giants amongst other teams. And ladies and gentlemen, sit down, brace yourself. We are going to talk about a win. The New York Giants holding on to beat the Tennessee Titans 21-20, overcoming a 13-point deficit. David, this is a new era of Giant football, and I don't know about you, but the second half onward, I liked a lot of what I saw.
Oh, I think that, again, we talked about it in the preseason shows. It's going to take a few weeks for Dabo and Kafka and Wink and everybody to know who they have and play calling, and they kind of had to, play it out. It wasn't like they were extending preseason, but let's be honest, it's the first time to battle with these guys, and they're not healthy. They don't have everybody even at that point. So it's going to take a little while. And I thought today we saw some riverboat gambling by Dabo. We saw some of Wink's, defense coming into play. The very first drive for the Titans, they kind of were slicing through, but then Wink got a feel for what they were doing, sewed it up, and the rest of the game was pretty dang good. And you didn't even have the fangs of the defense. Both the young kids weren't even out there. So, it's I think we have a lot to talk about. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I think we take the win away. We love the win. We found out a lot about this team today.
Yes, we did. And I think we've got to start off any discussion with Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley all summer long has been saying, I'm healthy, I feel good, I'm ready to have a big year. And what does he do? He goes out 164 yards rushing on 18 carries with 9.1 average. Tucked in there is a 68-yarder. He has a rushing touchdown. And then let's see, he added 30 yards on 6 receptions. Just my guess, he's the NFC Offensive Player of the Week winner based on that performance. When you look at Saquon Barkley, what did you see from him?
Well, you didn't see hesitation today. He was hitting the holes. He was trusting that they were going to be clear for him to get through. Even when there was bodies in the way, he put his head down and he ran behind his pads. Broke a couple tackles. I mean, there was a couple plays that they whistled dead that he wasn't even going down on. Like, let's be honest, like Saquon was looking like that rookie, style runner where he was just on a mission to prove a point, and he was running with purpose today. And the speed aspect is what surprised me. That was that second, the 68-yard run, when he broke that off and he got away from people and he was extending. I mean, it was like, whoa. We haven't seen that kind of burst from Saquon in probably at least 2 years. I mean, that was impressive. That burst that he gave us there was really impressive. And that's when I started getting juiced in my seat. I was like, okay, let's see what else you got, kid. And then he backed it up. I mean, he broke off a couple really, really nice runs today. He was not hesitant. He was hitting the holes. His speed, running behind his pads. He wasn't going down. I mean, I really saw the Saquon that we had always hoped to have.
Yeah, indeed. Saquon Barkley looking like the 2018 version, confident, breakaway tackle, the speed, decision-making. Basically, I was glad to see that the Giants decided to put the offense on Saquon because, we had some questions, I think, coming in about the passing game. And, who would be the featured guy? And, until that offensive line settled down. Now that offensive line still working with a rotation at left guard because I guess they haven't decided on who they're going to go with. But Saquon basically had to carry that offense. And I think that's something that I spoke about and have written about, for the beginning part of the season, until that passing game settles in. Saquon's going to have to carry that offense. And he did a good job. And, he got, like you said, he got some good run blocking.
Well, and in addition to that, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of play calling through the first half. I was kind of like, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but you got Sterling Shepard, you got Galladay, you have Tony, and they weren't touching the ball much in the first half. And I'm just like, you got to call plays. You got to dial these guys up and see if they can do it or not. Like, I wasn't a big fan. But then the second half, that's when I was like, okay, we're starting to figure out our identity, which is what it should be, which is Barkley, running behind Barkley, play action pass, Tony in a trick play. Okay, here we go. We're starting to find a little bit of a rhythm. There's still aspects here that I wasn't a big fan of, okay, on offense. But again, like I said, it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks before we really know what this offense is. I think they found their identity today, okay, we are going to run with Shaq and Breida, and that's what we're going to be. And that's going to help the offensive line out while they're getting healthy and they're figuring things out. You saw some of those holes today. Those things were flipping wide open. And I said flipping because I'm on your show. But you come over to Map Sports Take, you're going to hear another word. But no, it was great to see the blocking up front. I thought that gave the offensive line a lot of confidence. I thought some of the play calling in the game gave the offensive line confidence as the game went through. You saw them starting to believe in themselves more and more. You saw them coming off the ball and getting into people's booties and getting after them. So, I thought Dabo and his coaching staff did a really good job building confidence in these players today.
Now let's talk about Daniel Jones, because he was the other big question mark. Can he win the games? His decision making. What kind of game do you think he had?
I'd give him a B. There's a couple drops that, he made some good plays on, and then the receivers dropped the ball on him, right? Then there was that one play in the end zone where I don't know what the hell he was looking at, with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, throw the ball away, kick a field goal, put your offense in position to come back and be, in a better position to win the game. But he throws that interception. That was a bad decision making. Early in the game, they started throwing the ball too much. He was under a lot of pressure. The first half, this kid took a lot of hits. And there was that one where I got worried about his arm, where he came back and he went to throw it and get the ball out, and the backside pressure just tomahawk chopped him right on the arm. I was like, oh, and that ball came flying out of there,
Yeah.
But he didn't see it. He was making his read. He was going to get the ball out of his hand. And, that's the kind of thing that, quarterbacks, where they hurt their elbows or their arms and that kind of hit. But I thought, he showed some grit. He showed some tenacity. He ran the ball hard when they asked him to run the ball, even though you and I, or maybe I more than you, hate them dialing his number to run the ball, But again, he did a very good job managing this offense, except for that one ball. I really felt that one ball was his worst mistake all day, and it could have really cost him the game.
And he also slid feet first every time he ran the ball. I was like, yay. Although I will say a couple of times he slid a little too early and came up short of the mark.
Again, I'm not a fan of him running the ball. But that's me. You got Barkley, you got Breida, you got a whole host of people that can do it. You can even go wildcat and put Tony back there, who was a high school quarterback. Let's leave Daniel out of it, because you really, right now you don't have Tyrod really backing him up. Tyrod's still hurt. So let's be careful here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's my point on that. But I thought I'd give him a B for the first game out in this new offense with a makeshift offensive line. I still would give him a B. I mean, if you look at his numbers, I don't think you're going to be overly impressed, but he was 17 of 21 with 1 interception and 2 touchdowns. Like, I'll take it. Like, that's a good game. He was under 200 yards. He was 188. But again, 17 for 21 with 1 interception and 2 touchdown passes. Bro, you can't get too hard on him there. He made the interception mistake, yes. I would have liked them to dial up more plays for Galladay and Shepard and Tony. James had a great day, comes out of nowhere, 5 receptions for 59 yards, right? But for me, I really would have liked to have seen that top trio get more plays called for him in the passing game and see that top trio on the field together more. They didn't sustain those 3 out there. And I'm evaluating the receivers. James is cute, but Shepard, Tony, and Galladay, they have a different, physical set to them. And if you put them on the field consistently together with Barkley, that gives Jones 4 legitimate weapons to play with on that field.
Yeah. And listen, the offense still a work in progress because remember, they haven't played together,
right,
all preseason long. So like you say, going to take a few weeks for it to come together, but certainly a lot to be encouraged on. Before we go off of the offense, got to ask you about the offensive line. I didn't care for the rotation at left guard. I guess they still don't know what they've got there. But overall, what did you think of the job the offensive line did?
When they started running the ball, I got excited. The pass blocking at the tackle positions, to me, that was a B+. Both tackles held up fairly well. The interior guys, again, they're rotating. There's still communication issues there. A couple times, I think the center went the wrong way on a double team, which then caused pressure up the middle on Daniel. So, Simmons got away from people. They needed to slide to Simmons a little bit more to, keep that push from happening because Tart isn't really a huge rusher. And a couple times the center went to Tart instead of to Simmons. And I was like, come on, man, you got to slide over. That guy's being a beast today. He's having a heck of a game, Mm-hmm. So little things like that. Again, I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like, but I'm not being overly hard on these guys because I think there was a lot of progress today. I think the play calling in the second half gave these guys a lot of confidence. It settled them down. They ran the hell out of the football, which is what they need to do. But I don't particularly care for rotational stuff in season. Like, that's just not me. I'm not that guy. It's like, make a decision, go with it. If he has a bad game, pull him, put the other guy in, let that guy go the rest of the time, or make the switch in the next game, But I'm not a big fan of rotating in game. They got away with it today. But again, this is a live fire situation. They're trying to figure stuff out. 17 weeks, again, you got to understand, it's not like coming out of preseason next year. This coaching staff, everybody stays together. This team stays together. It's going to be a different beast. Right now, they're still trying to figure some of this out. And so I'll give them a little latitude for the first few weeks here.
All right, Giant fans, we have more coming up on today's LockedOn Giants podcast. But first, let's be honest with each other. We all have a special piece of jewelry, a keepsake item, whether it be a ring, a watch, a necklace, earrings, whatever the case may be. We all have something that's really special to us that if we ever lost or had broken or anything ever happened to it, we would probably go ballistic. All right. Well, guess what? Now you don't have to, because the folks at Brightco make it easy and affordable to cover any jewelry loss you might experience. All it takes is a couple of minutes to sign up, which you can do right from your smartphone. And for about $5 a month, you'll get comprehensive coverage on your irreplaceable jewelry. So don't wait. Hit them up today at bright.co/lockedon to learn more about their comprehensive coverage and to secure your specific plan. Don't wait, folks. Don't risk losing your valuable jewelry and keepsakes. Hit them up today. They'll take good care of you, and they'll do it at a price you can afford. Again, that website is bright.co/lockedon for more information or to sign up for your comprehensive coverage. All right, let's talk about the defense. And I think the story we've got to talk about is Derrick Henry was held to, 82 yards on 21 carries. Overall, the Titans running game, which, a lot of people talked about all week long, 93 yards on 26 carries. What did Wink Martindale do to stop Derrick Henry?
So Wink, beautiful Wink defense here, as I've known him forever. The first series, the Titans had their way with him. Guys were not fitting their run. They weren't coming up right. Derrick was getting ahead of steam. And then the backup running back, 40, I'm sorry. What's his name? Hillard was sneaking out of the backfield, getting mismatches on the safeties and the linebackers. So, that was the issue. Wink saw it, started to stack the line a little bit more, bring his linebackers up, challenge Tannehill to win the game for him. Okay. He was like, you know what? I'm going to just stack the line a little bit. My linebackers, instead of being at 5 yards, typically, like I like them, I'm going to put them at 4. We're chopping it down a little bit. We're going to come downhill and make the run fits a lot easier, simplify it, come up field. I think what Wink did was just really say, Tannehill, you're going to have to beat us. Otherwise, we're not going to lose. And it worked for him. The back end held pretty well. Jackson, they weren't even throwing at Jackson much till the end of the game when they had to. They stayed away from him. He did a fantastic job today. I was really impressed by Jackson today. I think the Huckleberry obviously is still Robinson. And then, the other Huckleberry was Holmes late in the game. Mm-hmm. So those were the two that they saw 30 and they saw 33 and they were kind of going after them and that, but they held. They did. They gave up some yards. Yes, I know Tannehill threw for 266, but at the end of the day, he had 33 attempts for 266, threw 2 touchdowns. I think they both were to Hillard, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, they were both to the back on the, getting out of the backfield. So we didn't give up a touchdown to a tight end or a receiver today, So again, all in all, and we didn't have the Fangs. The Fangs were on the bench. And I'm going to call them the Fangs from now until whenever because I love that nickname. I just love the Fangs. You didn't have Thibodeau and you didn't have Ojulari, And when you put those Fangs back onto this defense and let them rush the passer, it could get really sick because we saw good defensive line play from Leonard today. We saw good defensive line play from I don't think they called Lawrence's name once, but if you watched him, he was tying people up so linebackers could get to their tackles and fit. As an evaluator, I was getting all excited watching the D-line play today because it was freeing up the linebackers to make plays. People weren't climbing to the second level and getting to the linebackers, which I think was a lot of the effectiveness of the defense today. We were gang tackling. There wasn't just one person trying to hit Derrick Henry. We had 2 and 3 people on him. Wink was putting them in position to make plays, and these guys lined up and made plays today.
Were you a little concerned, like I was, about the play of the inside linebackers, particularly in coverage?
Well, we know the linebackers aren't our strongest suit. Like the inside guys aren't our strong suit, right? Mm-hmm. That's where we're going to potentially get exposed, but our safeties are going to have to help them out. Right. It's the way it's going to have to be all season. But I think our pass rush is going to help those guys out. I really do. I think the pass rush. Now, when you play people like Dallas and they have a running back that can run routes like Pollard, you're going to have some trouble there because they're going to try to isolate the middle linebackers on choice routes with Pollard. And that's going to be an issue because, Pollard's going to be able to do that. So certain teams in the schedule are going to be able to do that. When we play coming up, Carolina. Well, we don't have to worry about Carolina because they don't know how to call plays. I watched that whole game today, and Ben McAdoo was just screwing that whole play calling up. But they have a weapon in Christian that could be a fit for our guys, because Christian can run stuff out of the backfield and do these. But I mean, I won't go into it, but it was terrible. Carolina was terrible.
Yeah. I thought, that was the one area on defense, if I'm being honest with you, you look at the stats and you say, oh, the Giants only managed 1 sack against Tannehill. You would have thought that maybe they would have exposed the rookie right tackle of the Titans a little bit more. But, the Giants did what they needed to do on defense.
But we didn't have our guys.
Yeah.
If you have our guys, if you had Thibodeau and Ojulari both rushing off those edges.
Yeah.
Different stat sheet. Different stat sheet.
Yes, absolutely. And hopefully, I think at least one of them should be back next week, if not both. My guess is Thibodeau will be back. I think he's a little further along than Ojulari is in the rehab, but there's a possibility they get them both back. But definitely get one of the two back.
Don't rush it. We got 16 more games. We got plenty of time. Don't rush them back.
We will see what they are able
and the way
to
Carolina played today, you don't need them to win, because Carolina's going to kill themselves.
Oh, if you say so. All right. Concerns. Let's talk about concerns. I thought special teams again. And I thought by now special teams would have straightened out. I really did. I don't know what is going on. What do you see with these big returns that are giving up? Are guys just not maintaining lane integrity? Or
and I said it all preseason, and I'm saying it again for week 1. They're not keeping their lane integrity. The people are running and crossing into other people's lanes. They're not being disciplined. And when you're playing special teams at that level, you have to stay disciplined, because you give somebody a little crease, a little crack, and they run a 4-3, and it's lights out. See you later. So lane integrity is got to be the key. And I saw a picture of him. They flashed him on the sidelines. T-Mac was on the sidelines, losing his ever-loving mind. And I could tell, because I watched that, and there were 2 guys that were not keeping their lanes, and he was losing his mind. And I was like, I know what he's saying right now. Lane integrity.
Oh, man. And then, of course, they had the botched point after, which, how does that happen?
I didn't get a good replay on that, so I didn't see what it looked. It looked like Jamie missed the snap, or was it a bad snap? I couldn't tell,
but the announcer said, "Oh, the new holder." I'm like, "What are you talking about? They've been working together all summer long."
Yeah, I couldn't tell, because the replay that they showed here was a poor replay. It kind of had a skip, so I couldn't see if it was the snap that was bad or Jamie just mishandled it. But obviously the operation was off. And that was a big blunder in the game. They'll work on it. They'll get it right. But Jamie, for the most part, has pretty good hands. And I thought Jamie kicked the crap out of the ball today. One time he outkicked his coverage. And, I mean, he kicked it, I want to say it was 65 yards or something. Like, he boomed one. And the returner got 7-8 yards before any Giant was even close to him, because he had just kicked the crap out of the ball. Right. So, I thought Jamie did a really good job flipping the field, giving the defense a long field most of the day for the drives to have to go long distance for him. Obviously Graham did what he needed to do when he was asked to do it. So, as far as the special teams goes, the leg went, and our return game looked decent today.
Richie James, oh my gosh, Richie James, 62 yards, 5 returns, 12.4 punt return average. Been a while since we've had a guy that high.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, our return game looked good. Our punter and our kicker look good. I just think the lane integrity needs to get cleaned up fast, or it's going to cost us. Because these kickers we have are able to get the ball where it needs to go and flip the field on the punts and all that stuff that we need to do. If we don't hold the lane integrity and have some people taking pride in it, it's gonna get bad quick.
All right, Giant fans, more coming up on today's LockedOn Giants podcast. But first, planning your fantasy sports or betting action for the 2022 NFL season has never been easier when you use Prize Picks. You can win up to 10 times the amount of your money on any entry. There's no competing against other people. It's just you and the projections available for any of the major sporting leagues. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less, and it's that easy. You can do it right off your phone or off your laptop computer or whatever, your desktop computer, your iPad, whatever you're using. Prize Picks is currently operational in over 30 states and Canada and offers safe and fast withdrawals. Download the Prize Pick app today or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. Don't forget to enter that promo code. Again, that's Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. All right, so the Giants have Carolina week 2 at home. If you are Dable, and based off what you saw tonight, what are some of the key things that you're going to sit this team down and want to work on to improve, and what are some of the things you want to build on?
You want to build on the confidence. You want to definitely build on the offensive line confidence. The defense played well. You want to data boy them up. You don't want to come too hard on them. How you want to build on this, in my opinion, is your play calling on offense has to be centered around the run game. You can't get pass happy and be like, oh, people are going to load the box against Saquon now, so we're going to come out and throw the first 15 out of 25 plays. No. Impose your will on people early and often and get Saquon going quickly, get Breida going quickly, because then guess what you're going to have all day long to throw the ball. Okay? So, and like I said earlier, I would keep the triplets out there. I would find ways to put all 3 receivers on the field and keep them on the field together. James is a nice little gadget player, okay, but Tony's a difference maker, and he did not touch the ball enough today. Like, he really didn't get enough screens thrown to him. He didn't get crossing routes where he could take a shallow cross and hit an alleyway and go. Like, he's got some rare talent that we really need to exploit, especially if Wan'Dale Robinson's going to be hurt. Tony's got to get more touches. And I thought, and again, we haven't seen it in a while, but Sterling Shepard, he did well today. Now, that one where Saquon scored the rushing touchdown, Shepard completely ghosted a block, which if I was a receiver coach, I'd get after him about, because he absolutely ghosted a block on that one. But as far as him running routes and him doing things, he looked really good today. Galladay was a little disheartened because he wasn't much of the game plan again. Galladay is a guy you got to make part of the game plan. You got to target this guy 7 times a game, and then he'll stay interested. If you don't do that, you're just wasting your money on him. You really need to target this guy 7 times a game, and they didn't do that today. So I would build the game plan around the offense with the run game, but I would try to put those triplets on the field as much as I could together.
Yeah, Dable did say way back when that different guys were going to be featured in the offense. So who knows? Maybe Galladay is the feature guy against the Carolina Panthers. Maybe they go in a different direction. I don't know. But certainly the run game encouraging. I guess that's going to be a focal point to continue to build on. They've got to figure out what they're going to do on the offensive line, because this rotation stuff, I just don't like it. And I don't think it's good for the offensive line. Inside linebackers, like you said, the safeties can kind of cover that up a little bit. Special teams, they got to clean up lane integrity. But all in all, considering it was the first, game, they fought hard. They didn't give up. I like how they put their nose to the grindstone, and they came out with a win. And, some people, the naysayers will say, oh, well, they got lucky because Bullock missed that field goal. Well, you know what? How many times did they not get lucky and the kicker went and made a long field goal, the walk-off field goal?
Hey, you know what? A win's a win in the NFL. You take them and you walk out of there happy. But also, look at Dable went for 2. Like, he could have went for the tie, right? And he could have easily tied the game up. Then Bullock misses the field goal and we're in overtime.
Right.
But Dable made the coaching call to go for 2, ran a shovel pass, by God, a shovel pass that nearly got broken up, and it worked, though, and Saquon got into the end zone. You know what I mean? So, again, great. I thought it was very good coaching today. I saw good halftime adjustments. I was really worried that Dabo wasn't calling offensive plays come week 1. I was like, oh, and then especially in the first half. But he made his corrections. It seemed like the second half they got it going. Things were there. He was involved in the play calling and stuff. You could see his hand start to be played a little bit. So all in all, like you said, it's a positive week 1 that even if they lost the game, I'll be honest with you, I would be very excited about what we saw from the defense, from the offense in week 1. You know, this is trying to find your identity with new coordinators, new coaches. Everything is hard. And I really think they found their identity today on both sides of the ball. And I think that's going to be what they build off of for the next 16 weeks.
Well, let's hope we're still talking about wins. I mean, because it sure is nice to talk about a win after all the times we've talked about losses.
I watched the whole Carolina game today to just kind of get a feel for what they got going. And I'm not going to lie, Ben McAdoo's offense is so basic. Wink's going to have a field day with it.
All right.
And the defense today, it was if Jacoby Brissett could hit the side of a barn, they would have, Cleveland would have had a lot more points on the board. But he struggled throwing the ball all dang day today.
All right. Well, we'll see the Giants and Panthers next Sunday. I think that's a 1:00 game, if I'm not mistaken. I hope it's a 1:00 game. I think it is.
It's a 1:00 Eastern game.
Thank goodness. I love the 1:00 games. I'm not a fan of these 4 and primetime games because of the times turnaround. But anyway, great stuff as always, my friend. Appreciate the feedback. Giant fans, appreciate you tuning in, making us your first listen of the day, or watching on YouTube your first watch of the day. We're going to do Twitter Tuesday tomorrow, so you know what to do. Get the questions into me, and I will date them and give you your answers as best as I can. And otherwise, keep it here all week long on the LockedOn Giants podcast. We're going to have another crossover show. I'm looking to do another live show with Trina and Tana. You guys seem to like that. And then we'll just keep rolling right along. So for David Turner, I'm Patricia Trina. Thank you, and we will catch you tomorrow.